Be in the know with unlimited access to IBJ and Inside Indiana Business. Our in-depth coverage of all things business means you'll always be completely in the know. Subscribe for just $1 a week. Get started now at ibj.com/trial offer.
This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Wednesday, November 5th, 2025. I'm Alex Brown. The Indiana Youth Institute has launched an initiative designed to bolster support networks for young people throughout the state. The goal of the 5x50 vision is to ensure that every child in Indiana is connected to at least 5 caring, supportive adults who help them thrive by 2050. CEO Tammy Silverman.
There's good research and data that says kids that have that supportive network do better in school, they do better socially, they do better on mental health evaluations. All of these things we know to be true. So we want to stake a claim and say in Indiana, we have the desire and the capacity to ensure that every child has the support they need to thrive.
The Institute is calling on youth-serving organizations to join the initiative, noting that all types of organizations can participate. Leman Engineering and Consulting, headquartered in the White County town of Brookston, is under new ownership. The manufacturer of switchgear, control systems, and power distribution equipment has been acquired by Texas-based Mission Critical Group, though financial terms are not being disclosed. Warsaw-based Zimmer Biomet Holdings is reporting third-quarter net income of $231 million, down from $249 million during the same period last year. Despite the dip in profit, the medical device manufacturer said it topped $2 billion in sales for the quarter, a 9.7% year-over-year increase. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Thanks for listening to this IBJ Media podcast. You're probably going to remember this ad. Do you know why? Podcast advertising works. 85% of listeners recalled hearing an ad during a podcast, and 70% of podcast listeners have acted after hearing an ad. So whether you're looking to be heard across the entire IBJ Media Podcast Network, sponsor one of our shows, or just start with a 30-second ad, IBJ Media can help. Contact advertise at ibj.com to learn more.
The North Central Indiana Healthcare Talent Alliance is entering a new phase as it transitions leadership to the South Bend Regional Chamber, marking a key step in the region's efforts to strengthen the healthcare workforce pipeline. Formed in 2022 at Indiana University South Bend, the alliance brings together educators, employers, and community organizations to coordinate solutions to a growing shortage of nurses and other healthcare professionals. IU South Bend Chief of Staff Elizabeth Pace says the transition to chamber control was essential.
It was never necessarily the intent for IUSB to own it. We see ourselves kind of as a convener for community conversations and helping get things off the ground, incubated. And we're so grateful that the interest of the chamber, they really have the capacity and the knowledge and the history to run with this. And we've seen that. So we're at the point where each member of the alliance is making a financial commitment to sustain it.
10 organizations have already committed to serve on a 15-member steering committee for the Alliance. Each will contribute $5,000 annually to fund the Alliance's operations. In an effort to address the implications of artificial intelligence, the Lilly Endowment is launching a $500 million initiative to provide funding to Indiana colleges and universities to support the study of AI and develop strategies for its use. The initiative announced this week, called Artificial Intelligence in Higher Education, is expected to support higher education institutions in their ongoing efforts to address the implications of a rapidly evolving technology and the lives of their students. The endowment expects to award planning grants by the end of 2025 and to announce implementation and collaboration grant awards by the end of 2026. The CEO of First American Nuclear Company says Indiana's pro-nuclear focus is what drew the startup to invest $4 billion to establish its headquarters in a small modular nuclear reactor plant in Indiana. Mike Reinboth said the plant would be built to first produce power using natural gas, then transition to nuclear power production, likely in the early 2030s.
One of the unique things in our plant design, since it was sort of built around using off-the-shelf parts from a natural gas power plant, is we want to build a power plant today, and it'll be a nuclear power plant, but have an interim gas solution until we get through all the licensing on both the reactor piece and for that site. Indiana's our goal to be that very first big project, because the state's been so supportive and pro-nuclear at the end of the day. That was one of the big things that brought us here in the first place.
First American Nuclear, which now has only around 40 employees, is in the process of moving its headquarters from the small city of Richland, Washington, to Carmel. Indiana Landmark's CEO Brad Ward is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, and entertainment, and beyond. Available now on the IBJ Media app or your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.
Indiana's biggest names, their most personal stories. The Business and Beyond podcast brings you one-on-one conversations with the state's top leaders in business, sports, politics, and culture. If you want to know what makes Indiana tick, this is your show. Subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcasts or at ibjpodcasts.com.
On the go? So are we. Get the IBJ Media app, your all-in-one news source for Indiana business news. Get breaking news alerts, read every story from IBJ, Inside Indiana Business, and the Indiana Lawyer, and listen to your favorite podcasts all in one place. Big news, small screen. Search IBJ Media and download the app today.